Hey, we have an enemy whose intention is to steal, kill, and destroy. And Proverbs chapter 7 gives us insight into how that begins to happen. So stay tuned if you want to know how to avoid these traps and keep yourself safe and in the presence of the Lord. Thank you again for coming back for day 7 of our walk through Proverbs. I hope that it has been a blessing to you and that you have learned some things that are going to keep you safe from all of the things in life that are set up to cause us to fail. But we have such a good Father who provides wisdom. If we will take heed, we can avoid many pitfalls in life. So I want to hop into chapter 7 because there's a really great story, which I think is something that we all need to take heed to. So we'll start in verse 1, again in New King James Version, but I encourage you to flip-flop through a couple of different versions to see the nuances that are just a little bit different and will really help it to sink in and so that you can write it on the tablet of your heart. So verse 1, my son, keep my words and treasure my commands within you, and my law as the apple of your eye. Bind them on your fingers, write them on the tablet of your heart. Say to wisdom, you are my sister, and call understanding your nearest kin, that they may keep you from the immoral woman, from the seductress who flatters you with her words. So again, this is now the third or fourth day in a row where we've been told to pay attention, to treasure the words, to keep them in your heart, to remind yourself of them. That's what that note about the bind them on your finger. I don't know if you saw back in the day, people used to tie a piece of string on their finger to help them remember something that they didn't want to forget. And wisdom and understanding are the things that will keep us from the life of immorality and the seductress. And I want to go into this next section, which really is a story about how a seductress comes and presents herself to a man before she takes him out in destruction. And I think that there's some things for us to learn in that. So let's dive in. Verse 6. For at the window of my house I looked through my lattice and saw among the simple, I perceived among the youths, a young man devoid of understanding, passing along the street near her corner, and he took the path to her house. And in the twilight, in the evening, in the black and dark of night. And there a woman met him with the attire of a harlot and a crafty heart. Her feet would not, she was loud and rebellious, and her feet would not stay at home. Verse 12, at times she was outside, at times in the open square, lurking at every corner. So she caught him and kissed him. With an impudent face, she said to him, I have peace offerings with me. Today I have paid my vows, so I came out to meet you. Diligently I seek your face, and I have found you. I have spread my bed with tapestry, colored coverings of Egyptian linen. I have perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let us take our fill of love until morning. Let us delight ourselves with love. For my husband is not at home. He has gone on a long journey. He has taken a bag of money with him and will come home on the appointed day. With her enticing speech, she caused him to yield. With her flattering lips, she seduced him. Immediately, he went after her as an ox goes to the slaughter, or as a fool to the correction of the stocks, till an arrow struck his liver. As a bird hastens to the snare, he did not know it would cost his life. So I want you to notice a couple of things. First of all, verse 5 tells us the seductress flatters with her words. So that word flattery, I did look it up in the dictionary, that flattery means to praise excessively for the motives of self-interest. And so one of the things that, as I was reading this morning, the Lord reminded me of the passage, do not be ignorant of the enemy's devices. When we don't know how the enemy moves, it's very easy to be caught up and caught unaware. But the word is so gracious to us that it shows us exactly how the enemy moves. And if we pay attention to this instruction and write it on our hearts and remind ourselves to be vigilant, to look for these devices to look for these ways that the enemy moves, we can then guard ourselves. We can avoid what in other circumstances would be unavoidable. So we need to pay attention to flattery with words. And so the first part of this parable, right, this story of this seductress and this man who was taken unaware, it says that so the person that's telling the story is observing the activity of the man and this woman. The man was a youth, so someone who was inexperienced, didn't have a lot of wisdom, and he was by himself as well. So this young man, devoid of understanding, so he did not have intelligent insight. He did not have understanding. He did not have practical application in his experience. So he was walking alone. He was passing on the street on her corner. So he was in the vicinity of evil. He was in the vicinity of immorality. And then he took the path. He made a decision to take the path in that direction. So not only was he in the general area, he walked up the sidewalk to her house. So he intentionally made a decision because he was alone, because he did not have practical wisdom. He did not have understanding. So he intentionally made a wrong decision in the middle of the night, in the twilight, in the evening, in the black and dark of night. So he didn't even have the enlightenment of to be someplace in the daytime. It is not wise to be out by yourself in the middle of the night, in a place where immorality is happening. So that's one of the big things to pay attention to, that he was in the wrong place at the right time. So the next section talks about the woman that he meets there. She was dressed as a harlot. She was dressed up in an alluring attire to attract his senses. Her feet would not stay at home. So she was a wayward woman. So she would be out in the street. She'd be out in the open. She'd be in the dark alleys. She'd be on the corner. So she was in places to catch the attention of those passing by. So even if, for instance, this young man didn't know that he was going to encounter this immoral woman, he was in the wrong place, but she was in a place where she would attract people who were in the wrong place. And so that is how the enemy works. She was lurking at every corner. Then she caught him. She intercepted him as he was on his, pathway to destruction. She captured him. And then she started to speak to him again, that flattery with her own self-interest. The enemy comes with his own self-interest with words that are enticing, that are flattering, and enticing means to attract or to arouse desire. So she said all the right things. She diligently was seeking his face, and then she found him. So the enemy comes diligently looking for those he can devour. That's what the word says. He prowls like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. So the enemy, who is this more immoral woman personified, is looking for you. He's looking for ways to get in. He's looking for the right way to sweet talk you. He is purposely coming to devour you. And if we're not paying attention, if we are not walking in wisdom, we will easily be taken under. She prepared her bed with all these fragrant oils and scents to again draw him in. And in verse 18, it says, "Come, let us take our fill of love until morning, because the husband is not home and the husband will be away for a long time." So, and in this case, we talked yesterday about the husband being the Lord. And I do think that this is an allusion to Jesus being away, right? Jesus is away. And so we're kind of left here with the presence of the Holy Spirit to guide us. But when we don't know that, we are sort of uncovered and until morning. So he wants to do things while Jesus is away, right? Where it is perceived that God is not with us, which is not true, that he's going to come in and attract us. We can do what we want while Jesus is gone, right? Isn't that, some people walk through life like, I'll get to know God, before I die. I want to do what I want to do now. That is a device of the enemy to draw you in. And then immediately he went after her. So after she said these enticing words, after she told him how she had made a space for him, for them to be together until morning before the light comes, right? Only in the dark is the enemy wanting us to be active. That he immediately followed her. He immediately went after her as an ox goes to the slaughter. After hearing her enticing speech, after hearing and being seduced by her flattering lips, he got caught up and he immediately ran after her, almost like she had a hook in his nose and he was dragging him along like you would cattle. And then he did not know that it would cost him his life. This one night, this one experience of joy until morning, of seduction until morning, this idea of riches without work, and all the things that the enemy uses to draw us in, it costed him his life. And that's the message to you, that the Lord is putting this story in here for us to understand that us entertaining immorality costs us our life. And is it worth it? Is a few hours of fun worth the rest of your life? But we don't recognize that until the end. So 24 to 27, now therefore listen to me, my children, pay attention to the words of my mouth. Do not let your heart turn aside to her ways, to immorality, to her ways. Do not stray in her paths. Don't walk up this sidewalk. Don't be on the corner near her house. Don't be anywhere near where you can be caught up in things that will lead to your demise. For she has cast down many wounded, verse 26, and all who were slain by her were strong men. So you think you can resist, but you cannot. The word says to resist the enemy and he will flee. We have to run from destruction. Her house, verse 27, her house is the way to hell, descending to the chambers of death. And so I think it is so gracious for the Lord to give us this example. We need to study this. We need to study how the enemy moves. When you think about going into war, or even something as benign as a football game, right? So when teams are fighting or going to be playing against one another, the coaches will start to study the moves of the other players. We'll study the moves of the other team to find out how you can position to guard yourself from the things that they normally do. We need to be on offense and not on defense. We need to be studying how the enemy works. And there are so many stories in the Bible that are for us to glean from, to see and be revealed how the enemy moves, so that we can brace ourselves, so that we can position ourselves on the offense, that we can push it back, that we can avoid it. Because the Lord does not want us to be overcome, which is why he's given us the wisdom that he left us through Solomon to be able to steward our lives accordingly. So I pray that this has been a blessing to you. I encourage you to study this over and over and over again, and you will see more and more wisdom. You will see it, look back over your life, how the enemy has caught you up because you were unaware. Go back and look at where you were. Were you in the right place were you in the wrong place at the right time to be overcome? Were you by yourself? Were you inexperienced? Were you without mentorship and counsel? Were you positioned in a place that you could be taken advantage of? And I pray that you would adjust where you're moving, how you're moving, who you're in fellowship with, and allow the Lord to use this wisdom to course correct your life so that you can be successful. So avoid the trap of the seductress, be in your word, follow wisdom, and you will have good success. Thank you so much for listening on day 7 of our Proverbs 7 walk through, our daily Proverbs walk through this month. We thank you for spending your time to listen. I encourage you to leave your comments. I'm happy to engage in some conversation in the comments. Please subscribe so that you will continue to hear and be aware of any new videos that we post. Like and share anybody that needs encouragement or maybe needs a little nudging correction to go in the right way. Thank you so much, and I'll see you tomorrow.